Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new segment, the working title being Worth It Then, Worth It Now. Something old being new again. Basically, we've been doing this review overview experiment for 12 months now and people have enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. That being the format of looking at a game for 2 hours and rendering soft verdicts and just giving you a general overview. But we've played with revisits over the years, going back to old classics. And I figure with this category and with this game, dotAGE or dotAGE, depends however you want to pronounce it, what we'll do is we'll retread things that we've actually covered in the overview system, i.e. 12 months ago, in case you missed it at launch or you missed the review or what have you, to put things that I think need even more signal boosting on your radar. And so we go back to dotAGE, easily one of the most dangerously addicting just one more turn colony simulator management type games, turn-based, incredibly simple fundamentally as far as like easy to learn, difficult to master, that sort of mentality. So on-ramping in this is very entry level, anyone can grasp it, and it is one of those sort of run-based type things, roguelike dare I say, but manifested in a colony manager. You go as far as you can, you'll get some meta progression, unlock things, etc. But it won't matter because as soon as your colony fails, you're going to fire up a new one. It's hard not to just gush about this game and sing its praises across the board. Even, issues that I have in these sort of meta progression driven type run things, the core experience of this is that solid that it's not overshadowed by any sort of drip feeding of meta unlock mechanics. Anyway, I don't want to lose the thread. What is this? Well, fundamentally, you have this cute little bloody elder dude talking in sort of rambling old man Simlish. It's very charming, very cute. You got your little cannon fodder looking dudes. Oh my God, I haven't thought about that in years. You place down a HQ on a randomly sort of generated map, town center, as it were. That sets your starting territory, and all you really do is you allocate your dudes to locations. It's pretty simple. You're going to have like berry bushes nominally that you can interact with, and they're a sort of gimme starter. They give you quite a bit of food, but they do run out. However, they'll refresh if you make it later into other seasons, survive a year, that sort of thing. But broadly speaking, that's all it really is. You start with a handful of colonists, you allocate them to berry bushes, pretty much. You'll find that you have a couple of buildings through the menu at the bottom available to you, such as like a lumberjack, where it will have build constraints like place it next to a forest, and then once you build it and it will consume wood, you'll start with some wood. Now you have a new workspace that you can just allocate your dudes. And all you really do is you click them on, click them off, that sort of thing. All the readability is there. The UI is fantastic. There are like tips manuals because it's incredibly complex the further you push along. But again, that sort of on-ramping, that drip feeding, whatever you want to call it, it never overwhelms you, not beyond your station where you're at. And so pretty quickly you'll figure out there's a research tree that unlocks lots of different categories, and it's as simple as you put your dude on a research station that you build, he'll generate X points. As you make more complex research buildings, they'll generate more. You can put specialists and train them, that sort of thing, but I don't even want to overwhelm you with that. You pick your research, work towards it, unlock it. It's all very straightforward and graspable. Where the real strategy and brain melting, staring at your screen, trying to figure out the best combination part comes from is the min-maxing that you're going to get from that. The best way to illustrate this is to talk about food. There is like a minimum requirement of food. I think it might be one per person, probably. I never really stopped to think because the game telegraphs so cleanly that it will just warn you, hey, you don't have enough food to feed all your dudes. And that actually has pretty dire consequences. So essentially treading water and getting ahead in the food market is the way to go. A really good example would be you can build like a foraging post next to a forest and you can generate 2 berries per dude there. That's not a really good efficient feedback loop. So you can try and use the berry bushes to get ahead, get 5, but it's going to run out. It's a sort of tapped resource at a certain point. You build little village huts, and if you put 2 dudes there, or dudettes, or whatever. The game doesn't really care. They buy each other a bouquet of flowers. It's all very G-rated, wholesome, cute stuff. But you put 2 meeples there, and they will make a baby, and the baby will have to be fed and grow up over a couple of turns. This is how you build out your population. So you're trying to get ahead for food efficiency. You're trying to grow everything out. That's a pretty good carrot on a stick. To take the food example a little bit further, you can build things like fishing areas and hunting areas if you unlock them, that is. And as an example, for fishing, you'll essentially allocate a dude, and he has like a 3-turn timer. It gets a bit more complicated. So he won't generate anything, but at the end of 3 turns, he'll basically kill a fish, and he'll generate 3 food. So if you crunch the math over a longer term, that's 1 food per turn. That's not very efficient, is it? Not compared to the berry bush thing. But I mean, who knows? Maybe you start working strategies in where you have a station with 2 turns depleted, and now you've got like a 1-turn, 1-shot, 3 food dump. It could come in handy, who knows? But if you research down the tree, you can get like a barbecue station. And that's when it gets really interesting. Now that, on its own, I think it maybe turns 1 raw animal, like raw fish, into 3 food. Or 4 food, something like that. But it will have a bonus, like if you place it near a hut in your village, now it generates 7 food per food that goes in. And all of a sudden, now we're getting synergies. Now we're building up, and now we're freeing up dudes to do other things. Now, what other things are there other than just building out your city for the sake of it? Well, you have a sort of Doom mechanic. It's literally Doom prophecies according to your village elder. He'll gather you together and read this scroll, and the game leans into him having like, you know, shitty old man memory problems. It's like, oh, I sort of know the prophecy, whatever. But look, functionally, the idea is that you'll cop a sort of Doom timer event in these, oh, what can you call them? Like a sphere of influence. Fear is a pretty obvious one, and that is sort of imposed against hope. So you'll have this warning saying, well, essentially there's going to be a fear event in a couple of turns, and you're going to generate X fear every turn. Let's say 2 in the beginning. 1, 2, something like that. Now you can research items that combat fear with hope. A good example being like a sort of local bench. You can allocate 2 dudes to it, so it's pretty hefty manpower-wise. But, you know, they sit down and have a community moment, and they generate hope for the community. So they make these intangible things tangible. And again, it telegraphs it all very cleanly. Hope versus fear. And at the end of the X turns, it'll roll a dice against the bar whether you've filled it out or not. And, you know, if you play your cards right, you'll have a 100% chance of passing it, but obviously this crap builds up and really stacks against you. And, you know, eventually your town's going to end up in a death spiral, but that's part of the fun of run-based kind of things. Anyway, as far as like a colony management game, turn-based nonetheless, handling a roguelike setting, this is easily the best. We've had a look at some over the years attempt it, so it's not quite as novel as it once was. But like I said, for a one-man band, not only is this good, this is the best in many ways. So I dare you to pick it up if you'd missed it when I reviewed it in the first place. This is dangerous. It will suck every minute of spare time out of you if you aren't careful. I don't care about that phrasing, that's fine. And yeah, that'll do. Anyway, sort of new content, sort of new category. I'd be curious what people have to say, but I do like the idea of re-signal boosting some of the stronger contenders as they've come across my desk over the years. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.